everyone, this is Justin with Alternative Drummer. Today I've got part 2 of my interview with Mr. Alain Levesque. Alain Levesque is a film composer and drummer who plays in the band Voice Industry. He's been in the band since 1989 and releases music under that name, as well as helped beta test the Simmons SD2000. Met Dave Simmons, hung out with him for a week. If you haven't seen part 1 of the interview with him, check that out. There's a link down below or up in the corner. And we're going to get on with part 2. Part 2, me and Alain talked about what it's like to be a musician, you know, in the current day, playing live, recording, releasing music, all of that stuff. Anyway, it was a really fun conversation, and this is now part 2. Before I show you that, though, I just wanted to make a quick announcement. I have a new musical project coming out called Mockman Mini. Now, Mockman Mini basically is going to be all electronic stuff. You might have seen some of the songs already in some of the videos here on this channel, but it's all electronic drums, all synthesizers. There is fretless bass on one track. But really, I was developing a sound on this batch of songs, and I really felt like it deserved to have some kind of new title, not Demonic Sweaters, because Demonic Sweaters kind of evolved into a band, and we have a new album coming out as well that I'm in the process of mixing right now. So I really didn't want people to get confused with Demonic Sweaters and this other group of songs that totally has a different sound. And anyway, there's going to be a full video album release here on YouTube, as well as it's coming out on Spotify. You can pre-save. There's a link down below. And then I'll also have it up on Bandcamp and all of that here pretty soon. So check out Mockman Mini. Anyway, here we go. Part 2 with Alain Levesque. So, yeah, your music, Voice Industry. I actually have listened to quite a bit of it now on Spotify, and I dig it. It's like very hypnotic. It has this hypnotic kind of, because there's a lot of these like layered texture, repeating textures that just kind of like pull you down a rabbit hole. It's really cool.
Yeah, fair enough. It depends on the era, I guess. You know, for what I did with Dreams of Flight, which is the most recent album, versus Psychotica, which was released in 1991. The band has sort of evolved. I guess the music has evolved quite a bit, changed, gone through a number of phases, but ultimately at the core of it is all drums. It's heavy, very heavy percussion, very heavy electronic percussion throughout. Dreams of Flight, the new one, maybe to a lesser extent, but it's there. Like the percussion element is still very prominent.
That was the one that I listened to, like probably about 4 or 5 songs of it.
That one is basically me doing what I want. Because of my progressive upbringing and transition into the electronic world, the progressive part of it never really went away. And I was always basically trying not to bring it to the forefront as much as possible for the sake of keeping the music simple or straightforward. But with Dreams of Flight, it's a very progressive collection of songs. Progressive meaning, you know, it's in 4/4. The main rhythms, I guess, or the beats in 4, but everything else over top of it's in 7s or 6s or 5s or combinations thereof.
Yeah, and I think that's what causes the hypnotic type vibe. Yeah, I think when you have these layering rhythms, you know, it gives that like that trance feel. You know. It's
layered. There's a little tension in it as well. There's urgency to it. There's calmness, depending on, you know, the track, the feel, that sort of thing. But I like playing with times. I like messing around with signatures, time signatures.
Yeah, I do too. I have a lot of fun with that. There's one that I did like a few years ago called Overlapping Spirals, where I just layered all these different time signatures on top of each other. Right. And it just goes on and on and on for a while, and then like has this like like at the time, I don't know. It's like weird. Recently, when I was checking my Spotify numbers, for some reason, right now that track in Japan has been listened to like an unusual amount of times. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, not like a
it's
lot, but more than usual, you know?
it's interesting. Yeah, it's weird how one particular track appeals to a certain area, and another area prefers
And
a
it can be
different track.
old too, which is
Yeah,
odd. You know, it
yeah,
doesn't even have to be new. Like, I
yeah.
mean, with voice industry, like I don't really know the history of the band. Like, you want to go
Mhm.
through some of that? Like, how did you guys start? And like, was it just you? Was it a solo project? Was it a group effort? And then was there, it seems like there was maybe a hiatus for a while and then you came back. Am I picking up on that correctly?
Yeah. Long story short, we got together as a band in 1989 as a trio. Before that, I was doing solo stuff, messing around, just essentially, it's just all garbage stuff, just stuff you record and you never listen to it again.
Mhm.
Just for the sake of doing it and playing and making noise and playing drums and getting your yayas out, that sort of thing.
On a 4 track,
Uh,
I presume.
Yeah, well, reel to reel. Back then it was reel to reel
Oh
with
yeah.
a Roland RE 501 echo unit and a microphone and some drums and absolute mayhem. But it was fun, and you'll learn a lot of things. And when we formed, when I actually met Alex Brodsky in 1989, we had a very common desire to do electronic music, but to take it out to the live environment,
Hmm.
which was not something that people wanted to do because the machines were very unstable, unreliable live. And sure enough, they were. Um, it wasn't something that everybody was doing at that time. So we were a trio. There was myself on drums and two keyboard players, two keyboardists, and then we thought, let's bring in another drummer and have two keyboards, two drums, and we'll look for a singer. And we looked and we looked and we looked and we could not find a singer that was suitable. We had one individual who's actually really really good, and would have worked very well, but unfortunately he was unable to commit for
Right.
whatever reason. And so we thought, well, okay, let's bring in another drummer. I'll move up from sitting behind the kit. I'll stand up behind a set of Simmons, of course,
Hmm.
and I'll sing. And so, as basically the only songwriter, I figured, well, I guess if anyone's going to sing the songs, I guess I might as well. I'm not by any stretch a gifted singer, or proclaimed to be a singer first, drummer second. It's the opposite. I sing because I have to,
Right.
essentially. So in
I mean,
'89,
it sounds fitting, and I would never say, oh, that guy shouldn't be singing. It sounds appropriate
yeah. Well, you'll
for what
learn,
you're
right?
doing. You know,
You'll
sounds
learn.
good.
You get used to it, and because I'm not by any stretch a front man, I'm not an entertainer. I'm not, hide me behind a kit, and I'm
Yeah.
happy. Bury me behind the cymbals. I'm good to go. But yeah, so we do this. Well, it's fun now. It's fun to do because there's really nothing to. What are you going to lose, right? Nothing to lose. It's fun. You just go out and have some fun with it. What was I going to say? Um,
Well, we were
yeah,
back
so
on start after you started to
89,
sing.
yeah. So we rehearsed, and I kid you not, we rehearsed for 3 years
Wow.
in the studio and wrote. Like I wrote a number of songs, so that we had enough for a set. And 3 years after we were done rehearsing and everything like that, we took our live show out in 1992, and yeah, put on a performance that people seemed to like. So we did it again, and then we did it again and did it again, and yeah, carried on. And through the years, the roster has changed quite a bit. Uh, the three original founding members, I'm the only one left, and now the three individuals I have are the one, Francis, has been with me since 1995. on and off. And Shane has come and gone a few times, and Elijah, the drummer, fantastic musician, an amazing musician. Like he's sitting behind the kit, but this kid is beyond talented. Like he's just unreal insofar as what he does on guitar, keyboards. The guy's an absolute prodigy. I love him to death.
Yeah,
so
it's really great to meet people like that. They're very, very
yeah,
rare.
yeah, and he digs the music, so, and he digs the group, and we all get along really well, and it's just great fun. Yeah, so we're still doing it.
Wow. So there was never really a hiatus. You just kept playing.
Well, there kind of was. There was one point where I felt, well, let's just wrap it up. Things had happened. The situations changed. Where yada yada. People losing interest, if you will.
Right.
Just various things that come and go. Life happens.
Right.
And thought, well, let's just take a little break or whatever. But it's in the veins, man. It never goes away. It's in the veins.
I mean, you guys seem like you really could have fit, and I've seen some live footage where it seemed like you really fit in like the goth industrial type scene,
Yeah. Originally, yeah, absolutely. We're deemed a quote unquote industrial band, which to this day I don't think is a proper moniker for the band.
Yeah, I mean, what does that even mean, though? Well, you can consider industrial so many different. It's like one of those genres where, like, originally, to me, I would think it was like banging on, like metal and things like that. But then it became Ministry, and then it became White Zombie, and then it's like anything from metal to techno. Like it's like such a weird genre,
Yeah, pretty much, and then. You get the groups that come in and commercialize it, industrial sound, and make it their own, and all of a sudden it's mainstream. But whatever. Industrial. I think the reason why we're deemed industrial is probably because we looked industrial, and the image that we portrayed, I guess, was industrial. And plus, lo and behold, the sounds we used, the Simmons, the samples of all these anvils and machines being struck and whatnot. So it was an aggressive, very percussive sound, which in those days is or by the definition back then was industrial. If you're doing something that's not,
if it wasn't grunge or rock, in the 90s, because the 80s it was all new wave and synth pop, and then if you had electronics on the stage in the 90s, you pretty much had to be industrial.
Industrial or Depeche Mode, right? So,
but they were left over from the 80s, so
yeah. Well, we're compared to Depeche Mode probably too many times, but whatever. It's a compliment. I mean,
for sure,
honored to be, even mentioned in the same breath. But by no stretch are we anywhere near being, on the same level or in that same vein, if you will.
So, did you guys ever make it to the States, or just stay? We never even mentioned that you're in Canada.
Yeah, we're in Alberta here. Which is kind of strange because electronic music isn't one of the biggest things here. You know what I mean?
I don't know. New York, don't get me started on New York City. It's a weird scene these days.
Yeah. Well, actually, we had a pretty good solid scene here in the 90s. It started in the late 80s, and throughout the 90s, it was actually a pretty good electronic scene.
That's cool.
And we had a number of electronic bands that were local bands that were playing regularly, and there's still remnants of those guys out there. Every once in a while they put on shows, but it was pretty solid scene, and we're around at that time to be able to partake and be a part of that, because it was quite an experience.
How big of a city? You said you're in Alberta?
In Edmonton,
Edmonton.
It's I think 1.5 million now, I think, in the greater Edmonton area, something like that. It's grown quite a bit.
That's pretty big. Yeah, that's a pretty big city.
So it's a big enough city. There's major acts come through here. It's a big enough.
That's actually ideal. You don't want to be it becomes a problem when it's too big. That's the problem with here. Is like it's so big like there's so many people that it becomes very difficult to do anything. There's so little space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I mean, I've been making music almost as long as you have, not quite as well, maybe. I mean, I started when I was really young. I started playing drums when I was 10. I was in my first band, I think, when I was 10. Like so, right, and then and then my first show, I was probably like 12 or something. And but I lived in a small town, and actually being in a small town, you have this benefit, especially if you become like your band gets pretty good. There's not a lot of competition, and there's very few. It's like the big fish in a small pond, type thing. Yeah. Whereas if you're in New York City, it's a lot hard. Well, number one, it's a lot harder to just stand out as a musician. But number two, it's really hard, like these days, to find something that feels even worth playing, because it's just such. I don't know. I don't want to go on too much of a rant about this because I've made other videos about that already. But like, it's just, I think it has to do with the lifestyle in New York City is not an artist lifestyle anymore. Essentially, it's a rich person's lifestyle.
Oh, is that right? Eh?
If you're in Manhattan, or if you're in like the trendy areas, like Williamsburg, it's not a place of artists. It's a place of well-to-do, creative people, like that have yoga studios and things like that. I don't know. I mean, I have nothing against it, but and I do like the city a lot, but it's just not the city it was in the 80s and 90s at all.
Yeah, that's
there's no music scene. There's not a music scene.
That's unfortunate, because we always when I was a kid, it'd be like, oh, if you want to make it, you go to New York, or if you want to make it, you go to Toronto or Montreal or Vancouver or something like that.
Right.
That's unfortunate.
It's not to say that there's not bands here and good ones. There's some really good bands here, but there's no like nurturing scene. It just does not exist. There's no club. There's no like central club. There's no, there's just a bunch of bars that try to book as many random bands together that they can, and like it's just weird. Like there's one or two small places that are very cool. One of them is Wonderville. I played there a couple of times, but it's still not like this thing where there's like this group of people going there all the time and hanging out like a scene. There's just not. It's too big. It's too scattered, and there's too many. I don't know. It's too much money is the main focus of everything. Not that, money isn't important. We all need it, but it's kind of lost its, I don't know. Yeah. That's why I do everything here.
I know what you're saying. We have a similar thing here too, where we've lost quite a number of good clubs that were actually they would lend themselves to that scene,
right?
Whether it be the grunge scene, the electronic scene, or the dance club, like the, for lack of a better word, the hooch is still very, very prevalent. It's still very there. That probably will never go away. But like the what you're talking about, the true alternative, the scene, the people you go to the club, you'd meet the same people every time. It was kind of like the same style of band, same genre, I guess, if you will. Whereas now there's no real scene or no real place to go to hang out and enjoy that type thing anymore.
It's a shame. It's a shame that's happened in so many places, because
absolutely.
it was a really great thing.
And now what did that?
That's a good question.
What did that?
It's a good question. A combination of everything, I guess.
Did DJs do this?
I would blame internet before DJs, because DJs existed in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, to a lesser extent, but the internet, social media, who knows? But
I'm not sure.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where like, and we've talked about a little bit in the email about, like promoting music like that too.
Yeah.
You think it's really difficult. Like, I mean, I know
Yeah.
that people do it. There's some people that do it successfully,
Yeah.
like,
It
but
takes so much time,
and work.
and there are so many platforms, and you have to spend hours and hours and hours if you're going to be successful at it.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't have that time, and that's why,
That's
if you look at the numbers for voice industry, we have a very low following. That's my fault entirely, and I take the full blame for that because I'm not very proactive with marketing. I'm not very proactive with putting the name out there or pushing the brand. I write music. I'm a drummer.
I don't think it's 100% your fault, though. I mean, yes, you could be working on it more, but the thing is with you and the music that I make, it's like you said, it's hard to categorize. You can't put in, like, the problem with the internet these days, here comes the grandpa, but the problem with the internet is like everything has to be this specific genre where it's like, I make vaporwave and that's all, and it's that is it. Like, it's like people are so ready to put themselves in a box and stay there. And I hate that. Like, it's, to me, it's like, not that I don't hear good music that way, but it's like, man, why does everything have to be this one style? Like, do your own thing. But then, like, how do you market your own thing? With the internet, it's weird. And that's where that the scene used to be so important, because then you would be doing your own thing. You'd go to that place where all those kids were hanging out, and they would see how freaking awesome you were, because they'd be like, whoa, what is this? And they would be super into it.
Yeah.
Totally. But now that doesn't really, I mean, I don't want to say it doesn't happen, because it does sometimes, very occasionally. Like, you will see, like, the last band that I could think that happened with is I don't know if you've ever heard of these guys called Black Midi.
No.
But watch their first KEXP performance on YouTube, and you'll see what I mean. Like, they come out and you're just like, what? What are these guys doing? This is crazy. But it's like, and everybody was like blown away by it, like, since then they've toured, and like, sadly, their newer stuff I don't quite like as much, because I feel like they kind of took that 90s
the edge is gone.
Well, no, they started to get almost too much into the jazz, like, aspect, where it's like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, but because I went through all that in the 90s, where like all the like punk guys suddenly thought they were jazz musicians, and you're like, nope, you're not. Stay to playing, what you're doing, because you're not a good trumpet player. Right?
Yeah. Well, some people, we like to, explore different things.
Oh, for sure. But there was definitely a trend, especially with that, because I lived in DC for a while, and like at one point, all the like post-hardcore DC bands suddenly started, like, they're all like with upright basses and trumpets and saxophones and stuff. And it was like, dude, like, I was in one of those bands, and I have every right to criticize, because I listen back to it and it's just embarrassing. Like, it sounds like a high school jazz band. Like, it is it's terrible. Like, we had no business doing this stuff. Like,
the Spinal Tap during their jazz phase.
it wasn't that good. It was not that good. I would have rather been playing in that.
Yeah.
It was like these really long horn melodies that like are barely being played in tune. And
the thing is, though, familiarity rings true, right? So, like, you're getting back to your point about how do you promote something that's really not categorizable, so to speak. When music is an unfamiliar, I guess, or the genre is unfamiliar, people tend to shy away from it, or they don't, maybe don't spend as much time to try to listen to it as much as they would something that fits the genre, I guess, if you will. So it's unfortunate, because there's so many creative musicians out there. There's so much creative, good music out there that never gets heard, or rarely gets heard, because the masses have decided that this particular sound is what everyone wants to hear. And because of social media, if I'm listening to it, 10 other people are going to listen to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's pop culture. It's like, what's the next guy doing? And we see this all the time in social media. Your friends are doing this. Oh, this guy's doing that. Maybe you should be doing that too, you know, without actually coming out and saying it. Well, maybe you should do this too, because 100 other people are doing the same thing. Yeah, let's all do the same thing, shall we? And let's just see, let's just stagnate, you know,
Exactly.
and never actually progress. How does that sound?
Sounds freaking boring.
It's frustrating. It's very frustrating, because getting back to your point, how do you market something like the stuff we do? You know,
well, I tell you how I've been doing it is like this. This is my approach. I mean, it kind of works.
Whatever works, man.
It kind of works. I mean, I have gotten, I mean, all of the plays that I get of my music on Spotify, 100% are coming from this YouTube channel.
Nice.
You know? But it's nowhere near the traffic that I get on YouTube, which is and now though, it's like, I mean, I just have to, one of my things, I was just thinking about this tonight, because like, actually I was listening to this song on Spotify and it came on mix and I was like, wow, this is really good. And it's like this obscure sounding, you know, 90s synth with like these really kind of almost cheesy drum samples. And I really liked it though, you know, and I was like, this is awesome. And I open up the artist, I look at it, and it's like up to like 60,000 plays a month. And I'm like, how is this person marketing this music? Like, how are they doing this? I'm like thinking, I'm like, I just don't understand. Like, how are they getting this many plays? You know, and like, it's, to me, sometimes I'm like, are they cheating? You know, are they buying it? I don't know, because like, how do you get that? Because I mean, everybody says the same thing. Oh, you have to send it to blogs. You have to, you know, go on these Spotify or you know, get on playlists and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, I've done that stuff, and what does it really get you? Nobody reads those blogs.
Yeah, and it takes so much time. And at the end of the day, you realize, that it's not making much of a difference. No, I don't know what the magic bullet is. I don't know what the secret is. It's just a combination of, you know, for a number of years, and you probably agree with this, but it's 90% luck, 99% luck.
That's probably
it. You know, the rest is I guess talent, if you will. But it's just being at the right place at the right time, having the right look. All the pieces come together for, you know, certain artists, and the rest of us are, you know, just get tossed to the side, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think about this too. I'm like, I should be thankful, you know, that I have the ability to have this channel, and like, I even have, you know, having the amount of followers I have on this channel blows me away. You know, like,
well, hey, good channel, man.
You know, thanks. But like, I mean, I never would have thought, you know, like that I would have, like, because this wasn't the goal. The goal was like trying to make the music, get the music out there, because the channel, like it evolved into this, you know. But like, but finally this year, I think I finally just I just kind of switched something in my brain. I'm like, I'm already doing what I want to be doing. You know, like I have to appreciate that. Like, this is, I'm already making music for a living, you know? Like, so whether or not I have like 100,000 followers on Spotify, it doesn't really matter, you know? So,
no, you know, we're all striving for the end result without maybe realizing that, you know, enjoy the what do you call it? Enjoy the path forward to that, you know, perceived end result, right? Enjoy the run to it.
Yeah. So I'm sure, like, if there's probably people out there that have like, you know, 100,000 followers on Spotify, and they're like, God damn it. Like, why can't I get 1 million? You know, they're like, I'm sure, you know, it's like, it never ends. Like,
no, just, it is what it is. You know, do what you can, do what you love doing, and just let the chips fall where they may. And at least you're not cheating yourself. You're not, you know, disappointing yourself. You're doing what you want to do, and you're enjoying doing it. And lo and behold, I mean, your channel is awesome. You got a lot of people that are agreeing with you, that are, you know, that like what you're doing, that dig what you're doing. So yeah, by all means, you know, you're doing very well, I think.
Oh, thanks, man. Trying. It's been a long, long fucking road, man. I started this channel in 2009.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
it's been a
well,
long, like people ask me, like I have students that ask me, they're like, I want to be a YouTuber. How do you do it? I'm like,
yeah.
good luck.
Yeah.
Like better start now.
Yeah.
By the time you're 30, then you might be
Yeah.
pretty
Hey,
good.
you got 5 minutes? Can you tell me how you succeed? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right on there.
I
Yeah,
mean,
right
some
on there.
people do get huge on YouTube overnight. It just depends on what you want to
Mhm.
do, or
Yeah.
what how in tune with the zeitgeist you are,
Yeah.
basically. It with
Yeah. And how schmaltzy is your
Yeah.
oh, you know what I mean? Like, uh, yeah, if you got some gimmicky thing that just takes off, then you're
Yeah.
off to the
Drum teacher
races.
reacts.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I've
So
done a
I
couple of those, but not many.
yeah,
Well, usually only on live streams because like
yeah,
when I
yeah,
don't know what else to do, that's what I would do.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like, yeah, those reaction videos kind of drive me
How
crazy.
long have you been teaching?
Well, I say full time because that technically is my more full time job
Hmm.
since like 2018, I guess.
Oh,
But I
nice.
mean,
Okay.
I started forever. I've been
Right,
teaching drums on and off forever. But then
right,
when I
right. You
finally
just thought,
quit my last non-music related job was in
right,
2018.
right. Nice. Do you enjoy it? Do you
I
do?
love it. Teaching
Yeah,
is like the greatest thing in the world.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's so funny too because I teach mostly kids and like all
Mhm.
my friends they always ask me, they're like, how can you work with kids all day? I'm like, how can you work with adults all day? I'm like, kids are awesome, adults are fucking suck. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
kids are hilarious, like they
yeah,
have great sense of humor and they're all unique and different.
yeah,
Adults get mad over stupid things and take everything seriously. Like, I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Like, to me, it's the opposite. But yeah, it's
Do you
great.
do you find kids are receptive to electronic drums?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, they
yeah,
like electronic drums. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
And that, like I said, they love that SD 1250. Like a lot of them,
Mhm.
like they love all the wacky sounds in there. Like,
Mhm.
and like playing with the like there's like the voice samples and stuff of like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
tribal things and like
yeah.
they really like it. And actually one of my students I think is probably gonna buy one and have it at his house.
Yeah,
But yeah, they're and I think I have a couple of students that like to play the acoustic drums, but even
mhm.
our acoustic drums there are not really acoustic drums. They have low volume heads on them, and I
Uh,
have triggers and a module hooked up to it and low volume
right,
cymbals.
right,
But it feels more like an
right.
acoustic set. So I do have a couple of students that prefer to play that one.
Yeah. Well, that's good. As long as they're getting a feel for the electronic drum, being an actual instrument, not just something you put under your bed when
Yeah,
you're done, rehearsing,
yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah, I try to
Um,
teach them actually how to program stuff and teach them, teach them like,
cool.
especially the ones that buy kits. I always give them
Yeah.
the manual and read some of it with them and like try to show them how to figure it out.
Oh,
I
perfect.
think maybe a couple of them have actually done it, not that many, but
Yeah.
I know a couple
It's
have.
Yeah, it's a low percentage. I think, if you were to ask 10 drummers in a room, maybe two of them would be interested in actually, researching
Hmm.
what's under the hood. What else can I get out of this thing as
Hmm.
opposed to, all these acoustic samples. But I've always been hopeful that number would increase. I'd always want more drummers to be more interested in being more than drummers, if that
Yeah,
makes any sense. Because essentially, there's nothing stopping a drummer from putting on a performance by himself or having two drummers go up on a stage. I mentioned this
hmm,
to you. One of the things I wanted to do with the Simmons kits is have the two drummers on stage with Simmons kits only and put on a performance,
yep,
which includes melodics, rhythms, voicings, everything generated from two kits
yep,
because it is possible. We
totally,
have the technology, we have the kits. Why
yep.
not? Why
Wouldn't
not?
even need a
You know,
laptop on stage.
It- yeah.
You
I
could do
mean,
it all from the drums.
bring in a laptop, and now you're really cooking
Yeah,
with propane, right? So,
yeah.
nothing's stopping us from expanding as beyond the role of the drummer. And it's
No, I mean,
frustrating to see all this equipment that's out there not being used and
yeah.
not being um, not being used to its full potential, and then having manufacturers basically cut out some of the features that would make that kit, even more a tool for creativity, for melodic creativity, versus just playing a sample playback unit, right?
Yeah, like I was saying before, just a replacement for acoustic drums. Play. I mean, I have an ATV XT3 module, which is a great sounding module. And it plays great, but it literally is that. Like, it does nothing. It's like all you could do is just turn it on, select a kit, and play. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
It does nothing. But they sound good. They sound.
Yeah,
I've used it on recordings, and it sounds like real drums.
Yeah, that's what they're designed for. So, not
again,
my bag.
I mean, it's cool for what it is, but they're not acoustic drums. It's like if guitar players obsessed over making their electric guitar sound like an acoustic guitar constantly.
Yeah. Well, it's, for me, for lack of a better comparison, I'd be the guitarist with a 2 or 3 pedal boards full of gear to make my guitar sound like not a guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
But guitar players seem much more open to that than, I know that there's drummers out there, and some probably watching this, that think like we do. I know they're out there because they comment on my videos. I know they're there. There's definitely people doing it.
Then we need to unite.
And we should. Well, that's why I started the website too. I'm trying to get playlists built. I need to add some of your stuff on there too. And just trying to have something where like people can see other drummers that are doing stuff like that, more creative and unique.
I'm putting videos together. Actually, we did our 30-year anniversary in 2019, and we had 3 taiko drummers on stage with us. The footage is quite good.
I saw a little bit on your Facebook page.
That was from the floor's phone camera. It sounded like garbage, but I'm compiling when I have time. I'll be able to wrap that up and put a video together, which is essentially a 30-year voice industry live. So over the course of 30 years, just live footage from concerts we did, and then including the taiko drummers. The taiko drummers with the electronics is an absolute unreal experience when we're doing it live.
I'm sure.
Taiko
drums are crazy. They're huge.
Yeah, and just having them blast. I'm standing behind these things, and obviously we're electronic, and then the taiko drummers kick in. It's like, oh man, I've got the best seat in the house, man.
Wow, I can't wait to see that. That's
so
gonna
good,
be really cool.
So good. Yeah.
Well, we're coming up on. We have 4 minutes left. On this call. Time is flying on these, so it's been a lot of fun though. You should come back again and do another call soon.
Yeah, for sure. Is
some other things to talk about.
I love talking to you. Yeah,
very cool.
About Simmons, anything and everything to do with drumming, and by all means, anytime.
Yeah, this is almost. I used to do a podcast, and this is actually kind of like almost like how the podcast used to be, but I kind of stopped doing that. But maybe I'll start again. This is good. This was good.
Takes a lot.
I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I'm trying to think if there's anything I wanted to ask you. I'm looking at my drums to see if there's anything here that I want to ask about on the 2000. The main thing, that firmware stuff. Yeah, definitely get in touch. Send me an email about that.
Yeah, for sure. To do that. I've got all the previous versions of the firmware as well. So if you need to roll back to a particular version, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Alan. Well, it was great talking to you. And everybody, check out Voice Industry. I'll post links down to all of Alan's stuff down below. Subscribe to him on YouTube as well if you want to see some really awesome. Actually, are those videos on your channel, the 2000 videos, or are those on the Simmons channel?
They're a little of both. They're actually on my channel and on the Simmons channel. The Simmons channel has the 2000 videos and some of the 1200, I believe, and then the review I've done for the amplifiers, for the Simmons amplifiers, is on my my channel.
There's a couple of you did short demos and some of those of pieces of songs and stuff, and I always want to hear more. I'm like, I wish you would have showed the full song of it.
They wanted me to keep them short, so
you should post those on your channel.
yeah, for sure. I've probably got the longer versions of them, but they're fun to do. A lot of fun to do.
All right, Alan. Well, it was great talking to you. And
great talking to you, Justin.
I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming on. Have a good
Bye
night.
bye.